Hey everybody, so I had hoped to have a couple of really cute videos to show you, and unfortunately some things some things like that have been going wrong. So I had 4 days off, 4 days in a row, and I had 2 days from one week, 2 days from the other. So I had those 4 days in a row that I was going to get a bunch of stuff done, and unfortunately I'm sick, but I'll get over it. It's just kind of difficult with the fibromyalgia. It makes me that much more achy, and it's just hard. But I'll get over it. And so anyhow, I had some video footage in the works that I actually had a couple projects that I was working on for December, and unfortunately yesterday I was trying to gather up too many things in my hand, and one of them was my laptop. And so my laptop is actually okay. It's sustained some damage, but it still works. But the USB drive that I had all my video footage on was smashed to smithereens. So it's just kind of one of those moments where where I just kind of stood there for a minute, like, okay, so that happened. And, so now it's just kind of try to figure out how to make do and show you some projects that I had working on, and maybe give you some inspiration for what I did with some of those projects. And maybe you would want to put in the comments some things that you maybe did if you had some of the same projects. A couple of these are from subscription boxes, so maybe there's something that somebody else changed up, and it would give other people ideas for what they can do. So the first video that I was going to make is actually this quilt right here. I had quite a bit of good footage from it, and I had seen Tiffany at Tiffany's Quilting Life. She actually had this same kit, which I think it was from So Yeah Brothers New Year's Eve Day video or live stream that they'd done last New Year's, and it was one of the kits that was on sale or something like that. I don't know if that's where she got it or not, or maybe somebody sent it to her or something, but I think that's where I got it from. And no need to worry, because this quilt is for me. So it's not like I'm going to send it to somebody after I coughed on it. And I would wash it if I did. But anyhow, she had a video, a time-lapse video, that it took her 4 hours to get this all sewn together, quilted, and bound. And I thought that was so cool. She is so quick at making her quilts. And I thought I ought to try to figure out how long it would take me just to sew the top, just for me, I'm not usually one that wants to race. I do try to set goals for myself and challenge myself with certain things, but ultimately quilting is about the finished product, like the experience, the enjoyment, etc. It's not necessarily about always racing. But sometimes you do want to race. You do kind of want to, hey, how long does it take me to get that one done? And can I do it fairly quickly? And can I come up with a couple gifts for people in this time frame? I decided this one is actually for me, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. But yeah, she had done the kit the way the pattern actually calls for. What I found out in the video that I was going to do, that I didn't quite get all edited, it took me about 3 hours just to get the top sewn and the backing. So let me show you the backing here. Sorry about all the coughing and all that. I did a piece backing. So I actually had, I think, 2 yards of this fabric here. And so I just kind of sewed in a couple scraps here. And so I did a piece backing for it. So that took, a little bit of time. I don't know, probably 15, 20 minutes, something like that. And anyhow, so getting the top sewn together and the backing done and getting it sandwiched together, pinned together to be quilted took me right around 3 hours. So that's actually pretty good for me. I think. I don't know. I've never really timed myself before. That was what this whole thing was about. And so, anyhow, but when I got it together, I kind of felt like I took things a little too quickly, because there were a couple spots that were, the points were, I mean, they were not extremely far off, but I noticed them, and I didn't necessarily love it. So that kind of tells me, A, don't race myself, and B, don't race myself until I'm better at points. So anyhow, then I had it on my board, and I'm thinking, I wonder how I should quilt this. And I just kept looking at a couple of the points. You know, most of them were fine, but a couple of them were just off a little bit more than I would like. I couldn't see them from across the room, but standing directly in front of it, like from where the camera is to here, I wouldn't have really seen it. But if I were a little bit closer, I would have, and I just didn't necessarily love that. So I thought, well, rather than quilting it, maybe I could actually just sew on buttons. Or first I thought maybe I could just tie it. You know, I would just tie it at each corner, and then the tie will kind of cover up where the corners are supposed to meet. And I thought, you know, I could just sew on little white buttons. It would look like little snowballs. And so in my mind, that's what I was thinking. And so I did that, and that of course added a lot of time to it. That was going to be part of my video, was, hey, it took me almost twice as long to do just because of sewing on the buttons. But anyhow, so once I got them all sewed on, then I also kind of realized that this can't really be a quilt for anybody that has babies or grandbabies or little puppies or etc. So it's got to be for somebody that can get it out and use it when they, you know, like my dogs wouldn't bother it at all, and they would just look at it and go, okay, whatever. And we don't have any little kids in our immediate family at the moment, and if we do, I would tuck it away and it would be fine. So, or, you know, I would hang it off of the wall where the little kids can't get to it. But I kind of hesitated with giving it to anybody just because of the amount of buttons that are on it. And so I think this is going to be a me quilt. So anyhow, which is fine because I like it. But I'm going to stand up and give you a little bit bigger view of it, because I did do the pattern different than I did do the quilt different than what the pattern called for. And I will put in a link to Tiffany's, her 4-hour time-lapse video, and you can see how you can take basically the same start of a pattern and totally change it. And yeah, so anyhow, let me see if I may have to just put a picture in here because I don't think I can hold it all up and get you to see the real effect of it. But it was supposed to be patterned more like a herringbone, and I actually liked it in the stripes. I like the herringbone too, but and actually, if I remember correctly, it may have been a mistake. I may have started to lay out the strips and then realized, well, wait, this is going to be directional fabric that's going to be wrong. So I opted for keeping the direction all face up, and so then I ended up with stripes, which I actually liked, so I kept it that way. Yeah, now that I think about it, that's what I did. I didn't really plan it out to begin with. I just stuck with it. Alright, so I'm going to set this aside, and I'll show you a couple other projects that I was doing. So I actually am in a t-shirt right now because I just got out of the shower and I was pretty warm. And so that's what the last couple days has been. Warm, cold, warm, cold, warm, cold. So anyhow, Alright, so I did the project from Open Gate Quilts. Let me see if I can get the info here. I had it here somewhere, what it was called. So I did the little Noel table topper. That was in my last video, actually. Let me set that aside so you don't need the pattern. And I don't know if Monique had a name on this one or not, but anyhow, I also did the table topper last week, and that was one of the videos that I was going to do. I opted for doing a very, very rustic country charm little quilty type thing on the top here, where I just did stars and Christmas trees. I was kind of thinking I should have done like a snowball flurry type thing, but I just wanted it to be very country, rustic little quilting. So my real reason for showing this was actually, okay, it did. I was like, did that actually quilt? Yeah, it did. But my real reason for showing this was because I want to show you what I actually did with the scraps that I had off the sides of this. So, excuse me. So some people may have been able to do their backing in such a way not to have scraps from it. I'm just going to show you my backing. It's not very good. You can see where my quilting, I have some thread nests. I'm just going to tell you that. So I actually, for the backing, I had 2 fat quarters that were the right color. And so I took the 2 fat quarters and sewed them together. I had to cut a little piece off the end in order to make it wide enough. But, you know, make do. And so, anyhow, I had a nice rectangular piece. And so I had cut 4 triangles that were left over. So I took those 4 triangles, and I'm going to turn the camera here. So I actually took those 4 triangles and sewed them together. I just did a, oh gosh, I can't think of the name of the stitch. I'm sick and I'm having brain moments. But I just did a zigzag stitch, sorry, down the center. And I did that on these 2 pieces and the 2 on the back. And so literally then I just took the scraps from the other fabric, and I will probably put in a little piece of video here that I have from doing this. I had it on my phone still. So a little piece of video here that I took a couple items that I have to circle, you know, to draw around and make the circles, because I can't freehand a circle to save my life. And so I did that, and I actually have it on, I had pressed it down on, words are escaping me at the moment, fusible. And so I pressed it down on fusible, and then I just used some objects and traced around them and cut them out, and I'm just creating some snowmen here on my little scrap block. And so I'm gonna actually press these down now, and then I will sew around them to hold them in. And I think I will either, I don't know if I'll sew on the face and arms or if I'll just draw it on. You know, it kind of depends on if I'm going to give this as a gift and I haven't had a chance to get it done. I'll just draw it on there real quick. But if I can, I'll try to sew on a face and arms. But right now I'm just going to go ahead and press these down. And then I had the little stamp was one of the things left on the fabric. After I got done cutting out all the circles, I thought, you know, I should have just cut out all the stamps and just placed them on. Isn't it funny how you just come up with all kinds of ideas after you're done? Or, you know, you think of things like buttons on the quilt not being, and you know, it's a cute design idea, and then you start thinking of the safety aspects of it, and it's like, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Maybe I should have just stuck with yarn and tied it. But anyhow, it's done now, and I like it. It's cute. I'll keep it, and keep it safe. So, all right, and I'm just gonna fuse these down, and then I'll sew around them, and I'll have some cute little snowmen on a cute little hot pad for somebody. Actually, that piece didn't fuse very well. Let's see. Which is why I'll sew around it, but and I just thought, you know, I just kind of used what I had scrap wise. I got some white snowflake fabric. I could have done that, but it's still yardage. It's not scraps, and so I thought I'll just take these scraps, and instead of trying to, you know, some of them were big enough. I could have actually cut them down for half square triangles or something like that. But I thought, rather than putting just a few little pieces into another project, I could just use this and have a whole other winter themed hot pad. And once I get it sewn down, it'll look like, that's not really round, but once I get it a zigzag stitching or button stitching around it, it'll look nicer. And then I usually like to do a little bit of pressing on the back too, just to make sure it's all smooth and etc. But yeah, I'll literally just sew around that to keep it tacked down, put on faces and arms, and then do a binding. And actually for the binding, I've got leftover of the backing fabric from this, so, and a couple other red pieces. I think I've got some of the dot fabric from the other table topper that'll blend with that really well, and that'll kind of use up those couple scraps too then. All right, well, some of it's already starting to peel up a little, but I think it'll be fine until I get it sewn down. So there have been other projects that I've been working on, and most of them were not sewing related though. They were a couple other Christmas projects that I was doing, and of course I lost all the footage for that. So some of them I probably won't redo because I'm done with what I need to make for the Christmas presents. But you know, it might be something that I make them again next year or something like that. Yeah, you just kind of gotta say, well, at least it was only a USB drive and not my whole laptop and not myself. That's the thing. I almost lost my footing too, and that would have been really bad. So, you know, just kind of shrug it off and say, hey, you know, I'm just gonna, that's why this video is a lot of talking. It is kind of discouraging that I know I would have been able to put out something of better content if I still had the video footage from this. But anyhow, I still got a pretty quilt done, and I got a pretty table topper done, and I have been working on my dress-a-girl dresses. I haven't quite got those done yet. I was hoping to have them done before I had to go back to work, but that didn't happen. So anyhow, I still have a little bit of time, and I'm the kind of person that if I get down to the wire, I will just stay up and get it done. But I still have a little bit of time, so I'm going to take care of myself for the moment, and then I will probably have to push when it comes down to it. But that's okay. It's for a good cause, so I'm happy to do that. Let's see, I'm trying to think of what else I've been working on. I'm working on a project that I actually hope to release in January. That's one blessing from this, is at least I hadn't started that yet. Otherwise I really would have been discouraged that day. But, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, so I'm working on a project, or getting started on a project that I'm going to post in January for a February quilt. So I think I'm enjoying it so far. I think it's going to be, hopefully it's going to be kind of neat. So I hope y'all stay tuned for that. All right. Also this weekend I got to participate in a project with Sean from The Guy Who Sews. He's working on a project for Christmas Eve. I don't know if I'm not sure if he's posted all the details yet, so I don't really want to go into that too much, but that was fun. So, luckily I was not very, very sick yet. I just knew that it was coming at that point. I knew I was achy and etc., but I wasn't, I'm just now getting to the point where I'm starting to cough it out of my lungs, so, in fact, that's why I wanted to do this right after I took a shower, because I figured I'd be about as clear as I'm going to be all day. So, anyhow. And yeah, so that I did that Sunday. And Saturday we actually did some outdoor stuff. My dad and I was still okay at that point. It was later that night that I realized I don't think this is allergies. I think this is a cold. And so... But on Saturday, I was still feeling pretty okay, so we went out and gathered up pumpkin. Or he was clearing brush, and I was gathering up pumpkins, and so I let the guineas out, and they got to play, and yeah. So it was a nice fall day, and yeah. And then it's been nice the last couple of days. I just haven't wanted to step outside because I have hardly wanted to get out of bed or out of off the couch. I should say I do want to get out of bed. I am not somebody that can, like, part of the sickness sometimes is that you stay laying down, and so I try to get up and get moving around, and that will help clear it sometimes. Okay, well, anyhow, this is what I'm going to work on today. And then I'm going to go take a nap. Okay, so I'm just zigzag stitching around my snowman. As you can see, I'm not very good at it with the machine. Lack of practice. And so I keep my stitching speed pretty slow, so that I feel like I have more control then. And honestly, I didn't do too bad, but I could have hand stitched this better than what I am with the machine here, but I do kind of want to get it done somewhat quickly. In hand stitching right now, I am going to hand stitch on the binding, but I just didn't quite have enough time to do all of these. So I'm going to do the best I can with the machine here. I may have to do a voiceover because, oh my goodness. Maybe I can edit out all the coughing spells.